we're going with him. And we're not giving you to him.
Well, how many people were in the town at that time?
A little over 1,000, possibly, and maybe at times 2,000.
Right.
So there weren't too many people here,
Right.
and because there weren't too many houses either.
Sure, sure.
But we still, even though the British burned down 50% of the houses, we still have the largest allotment of colonial houses of any city in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've got over, I believe, 60 houses that were built pre-17.
We have just the streets down over here. They're all 1,700 houses back over
That's
here.
it. But you got to figure too. Like back in the day, this was the center of town. Okay, like courthouse, pub, jailhouse, city courthouse or city hall, and the church. So that all down there was all farmland and was unusable land because
Right.
it was, you know, you couldn't plant on it. So they thought that was garbage land. So in 1780. Okay, let me start. When the British burned down the half the city in the 1760s, what happened was George Washington put out a call to arms to all Freemasons in the world to come and help in defense of the British invasion to Newport. Well, Lafayette, at 19, he was a French frigate captain. He stole his ship at 19 years old and sailed right over there. And George Washington made him his second in charge instantly, right? So Rochambeau went through the proper channels. He didn't arrive until 1780. Well, 1780 was the year after the British soldiers had left. So townsfolk were like, listen, last time we allowed a foreign army ashore, you guys burned down half the city, and we're not really feeling you coming ashore. And the guy goes, oh, well, wait, George Washington invited us. He goes, oh, well, if George Washington invited you, then get him up here and he'll get you into town. Otherwise, you're staying on your ship. And we literally, there's a document that says, we shut our shutters and our front doors to the French fleet and said, no, thank you, we're all set. When really they were coming to help us fight. But our townsfolk were like, yeah, we're not feeling it. So what happened was George Washington came. It took 14 days to get up here. And he took out a map of Newport, and he put a 5-pointed star, the symbol of Freemasonry, on the map. And he said, at these 5 points of this 5-pointed star, we're going to initiate you into this town. You're going to meet with the town clergy at the local church, Trinity Church over here. We're going to meet with the town leaders there's a property up where Rosecliff currently is. Rosecliff wasn't there at that time, but that was still, there was a building there. Well, 4 of those 5 locations are marked with George Washington met Rochambeau here, right? We are the left point of the 5-pointed star. And there's a statue out on Kings Beach where Rochambeau landed in Kings Park, and a statue of him pointing, okay? And the story I was always told was he's pointing at his ship, asking the townfolk to come ashore. But if you go out there and stand behind his shoulder, okay, he's not pointing at the water at all.
Pointing here?
He's pointing at the White Horse Tavern to the 5th point of the 5-pointed star. But the thing is, it's like, oh, he's pointing at the water. I'm like, okay, well, if he's pointing at the ship, then he should be pointing at the water, right?
Right.
He ain't. He's pointing at the dock.
He wants to go to the bar.
Yeah. Well, the thing is Rochambeau and Lafayette were both Freemasons. George Washington was also a Freemason, so they can't say what happened during those Freemasons because those are unrecorded meetings. But he can point, and they're all about open symbolism. That's totally what. But yeah. So that's, you gotta realize it's
Good as sure.
very hard to prove meetings happened here. But what I've come to the
Are you
conclusion
from
is.
Wisconsin? Your shirt? No.
He's got a Badger shirt on, so.
They're from Wisconsin. That's why I'm like, oh,
really?
Good shirt.
I visited there. Souvenir.
The only thing I proved is that people like to meet with a roof over their head. And there were very few buildings.
Well, there wasn't a lot here to other places.